Now, Cosatu, along with a number of political parties, are set to protest outside that particular sitting in Cape Town today. They're opposed, of course, to any increase in value-added tax, personal income tax, or for low-income earners, and budget cuts. In fact, I understand there's some kind of update around this that's taking place. If I've got that right, let's listen in.
And speak on behalf of Inklungu. Is there any person?
So it seems there isn't necessarily a speech being given there at the moment, a bit of singing by a number of organizations that are gathered outside that venue in Parliament. They're, of course, opposing any kind of increase in tax, claiming that this would have a disproportionate impact, specifically on low-income households. Organizations there are Cosatu, the SABC, the Treatment Action Campaign, and Equal Education. What we'll try and do, of course, is continue listening in for you, get you a sense of what they have to say as soon as they're about to start. It goes without saying that these are important stakeholders as the minister tries to dot his I's and cross his T's ahead of today's budget. In fact, it seems the program is just about starting. Let's listen in.
Sihlala ematyotyombeni kwekozi services. So ndizoma apha namuzo ukuthi njengenhlungu yasematyotyombenni we are in full support of the budget cut because sinikwe temporary services ezezi affect impilo okanye ikuhlala komuntu ongumama. We get infections kweza toilets zeplastic sizinikwayo, and then asinamanzi. You ended up going uyokha amanzi, you're not even sure if are clean. Into abayenza basiniki trucks zamanzi esingazazi bazowakhapha amanzi. Okwesithathu asinawo umbane. Njengoba singenambane, we do izinto illegally because kaloku sifuna usurvive. And then ke ngoku sesiluze nabantu ngenxa basinazo services. So sithi phansi ngebudget cut phansi. Phansi ngebudget cut phansi. Igama ngohlubi kaMayeki susuka kwinhlungu yasematyotyombe.
Amanda, it's better to hear from the person who feel it. It's better to hear from the person who feel it. Comrades, without wasting time, we are going to call upon Youth Capital, a speaker from Youth Capital. Before I give over to my co-chair.
Amanda, we're here today because young people are left behind. Nearly 1 in 2 young people are unemployed. But that's not because they do not want the jobs, but because the opportunities are not there. Yet the budget offers no real solutions. Unemployment is not just about jobs, but it's about survival. 8 in 10 young people must choose between ukudya and hunting for a job. The rising cost of living and a VAT increase will push people into deeper poverty. We demand urgency and action. Last year, funds for the Teachers Assistant Program were nearly not released. Young people cannot afford more delays. We need investment now in young people, in our communities, in all of us as a society, as South Africans. Thank you.
Thank you, Youth Capital. Comrades, now I'm going to hand over to Comrade Soraya. Comrade Soraya.
Forward to jobs for all. Forward. Forward. Forward to jobs. Forward. Forward. Forward to decent work. Forward. Forward. Comrades, we're going to to ask Comrade Mike Kumalo to speak to us briefly about the struggles of the
Manja, Viva, back to a campaign, Viva. Comrades, there are other comrades, 4 taxis that are on its way. They are about to arrive from Crossroads. And I also urge comrades with the job seeker forms to give them to Brian at the back so that we will take them to the head office of the EPWP at number 44 Wall Street. Only the leadership. Amanda. Yeah, comrades, you know what we are here for there is a problem. Let me put it that way. There's a problem, and the problem that we are faced with is linked to the issues of unemployment, issues linked to the extreme poverty. People are suffering, people are unemployed. Those are the problems. But we need to also understand what causes the problem. What is the root cause? And this is what we are here for, to try and deal with closing the stopcock so that we'll be able to fix the places where the leakages are, isn't it? Those people who knows about plumbing. You can't close the leaking place without first having to stop the water using the stopcock. So the root cause is the budget cuts, comrades. But also, sometimes it's difficult for us to make those linkages. For instance, the root cause is budget cuts, but there are also elements of the problems. And very often, we are bound to deal with elements of the problems because those are the things that affect us on a daily basis. I want to say to you, comrades, that local government is the closest sphere of government to the people. Local government is the closest sphere of government to the people. And this is the municipalities. And most of us, sometimes we look into say, why are the municipalities are in this current state of affairs? They themselves, they call it a crisis. But it is not a crisis that has happened as a result of an accident. It is a man-made crisis. It is developed over years for it to become what it is manifested to be today. Comrades, I want to share with you this, that in year 2000, in the city of Cape Town, when the 7 administrations were amalgamated and a unicity was formed, the city of Cape Town had 36,000 workers, and I'm talking about permanent workers, 36,000 workers. That was in year 2000, right? Now, look at where we are now. We are now in 2025. The city is sitting at 26,000 workers. Remember what I said. In year 2036, in year 2025, we are talking about 26,000. There is a massive reduction in permanent jobs within the municipalities over the years. But if we understand, comrades, that the role of the municipal workers is to provide services to the communities. Municipal workers are on the cutting edge when it comes to service delivery. How do you reduce the staff complement against growing communities? Yesterday we never used to have Enganini. Today we have got Enganini. Yesterday we never used to have Etagabandu. Today we have Etagabandu. But the people who are on the cutting edge to provide services to those communities have been reduced drastically. So that has created a backlog in the issue of how service delivery is provided. As a result, our townships have been turned into dumping sites because there is too little workers and there's so many people. Clinics has been closed down. Those that have been under the city of Cape Town, retreat clinic was closed down. Many other clinics were closed down. But yet, it is happening at the time when people need these basic services. So I want to say to you, comrades, for them to mitigate the issue of the shortage of staff, In the crisis of service delivery backlog, they come with a strategy and they say, half bread is better than nothing. They say they will create as many job opportunities as they can. They said they will make the unemployed to become employed in the name of EPWP. A permanent employee worker who is working for the city of Cape Town, the budget for a permanent job for a laborer is 720 rand per day. But the EPWP worker who is equally doing the same work is being paid 120 rand per day. How do you explain that? Without any benefits, without any prospect of becoming permanent. At the same time, comrades, the depots that you used to have were permanent workers. You used to have 400 permanent workers. Today, you only have 50 permanent workers, and the rest, which is 400 and something, is EPWP workers. Comrades, it is time. Trade unions, it is also time to wake up before trade unions becomes irrelevant. It is important that we acknowledge that the precarious workers are becoming more utilized in the municipalities as opposed to permanent workers. They said, comrades, there's nobody who's going to change this except for us. It is us, the unemployed. It is us, the precarious workers, working together with those who are permanent. We should resist this form of mass exploitation and fight for permanent jobs. Amanda.
Thank you, Comrade Kumalo. Thank you, Comrade Kumalo. Comrades, let's use this opportunity also to acknowledge Comrade Alan Bosak, who's amongst us here, and also, comrades, to wish well the Muslim community within our province for Ramadan. We want to wish them well in terms of that. Also, comrades, what I'm going to do now is to give over to Comrade Sureya to come and introduce our music band. Over to you, Comrade Sureya.
Comrades, before I do that, let me just say we have come to 2 gatherings outside Parliament to protest against budgets that are against the working class. Budgets that are pro-rich and anti-poor. And we have gathered here as different organizations, from the movements, from organized workers, through something called a coalition of people against budget cuts. And we urge all working class organizations to be part of that coalition, because it is only through our solidarity that we are going to be able to push back on a government that is anti-poor. Now, before we get the musicians, comrades, those of us that are taking water, can we please not throw the plastic on the floor? We will distribute a black bag, and that we don't litter the street. So the young, very progressive musicians we have are not Sounds of the South. They're a very progressive band called Kujenga, and let's support them in the next item, please. Thank you.
So there you have it, the early sounds of whatever musical item Kujenga is going to present is what you're hearing now. Interestingly enough, they're a Cape Town-based band, and the name Kujenga is actually a Swahili name which translates to build. Perhaps a random fact, perhaps if you want to connect the dots, quite significant for what those organizations there are calling for. They certainly wish that this is going to be a budget that will prioritize the poor, certainly not one that is anti-poor and pro-rich. We've heard there of concerns around how even the EPWP program isn't enough really to try to claw back on the country's staggering unemployment rate, upwards of 40% if you consider the broad definition. And there's just obviously real concerns around the impact of value-added tax being increased if in fact that does happen later on today. All kinds of numbers have been bandied about. Reports from at least as recently as Sunday suggesting it may very well be a 0.5 percentage point increase. But all of that for now is all but speculation.